So, hello everyone. Please write me. Please make plus on the chat if you hear me well and see me well as well. All right, seems that everything is fine anyway. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Let us welcome you to our webinar regarding the new product which we have launched not so long ago, and it's called Exigner. Not so many of us today with us. Hope everyone is good. I hope that the COVID-19 issue has not involved in your lives anyway, just only the news. Thanks for joining us on the safest event for telematics, which is the webinar. Yeah, we are talking about Exigner today, Exigner Driver application, which, as I mentioned, was launched not so long ago. But we have already prepared the first update for the system, which I would be grateful to present to you today. So, just a few reminder about a webinar. So, what it will be about. It is about granting different access rights to different users in Exigner. It's about the new opportunities for creating dashboards in the application, and it's about how easy it became for the driver to use the mobile application, which is Exigner. So let us go one by one about the topics of today's presentation. First of all, let me remind about Exigner overall. So for those of you who might have missed the news about launching the new product, or those who have not invested a lot of time into knowing what is Exigner and what is it for, so let me just tell you a few words about the new product we are introducing today. So Exigner is the all new generation of driver applications. And the main reason why we have launched this type of product is that we want to make the driver connected. So we always talk about connected fleet, connected vehicles, and the telematic systems which are operating between the tracker and the software. So eventually between the vehicle and the dispatcher or the fleet owner. But here we have one link and one part of the system which is not involved in it at all, and we expect that this part might bring extra value for the customer, an extra benefit of fleet management system. So we asked ourselves how to make a driver connected, and here we have come up with several tasks which we might solve. So first of all, we want to give the driver the instant feedback about his performance and about the performance of the vehicle. We want to show it on the screen. We want to help them to drive better, to have a better driving habits. We want to solve quite niche tasks which are very narrow and could be spread only for one and only customer or even one and only driver. So for example, we could check driving and resting time, and to show the driver how long he was driving and when he should take a rest in order not to be dangerous for other participants of the road. Of the road traffic. So we would like to show them different risk level parameters which should be set individually as well. So it's not only about error codes which are received from the vehicle. It's also about, for example, the cargo temperature and so on. So based on what is the task and the requirement, we want to have different flexible parameters which should be a threshold for the system, and the driver should be warned immediately in order to avoid the extra costs for fleet operation. And we want to give the driver the access to data which is being transmitted by the tracker and generated actually by the tracker itself. So every data that is being transmitted to the monitoring platform and then being processed in reports, trips, and different types of graphs. So we want the driver to be available to have the instant information about what tracker sends. So just the fleet owner and the driver would be in the same conditions. So they know what they do, they know how they perform if they have the information. So with the new update, we obtain more freedom in operating with the application. So we have the right and we have the opportunity to share, select, and modify data which is being transmitted to Exigner from the tracker. We can grant different type of access of data to data for different types of users. For example, dispatcher, driver, integrator, provider, and so on. So based on the requirements on one very specific project, the access might be different. We made the application more simple for the driver. It is simplified in order to avoid mistakes and in order to simply make the life of the driver easier with this application, not making him to get a lot of from the application itself. Just push a few buttons and get the desired data on the screen. So one by one, what is actually done. So in Exigner, we have created the roles, the definition of the roles. So we have came up that for some cases, we need to have a few devices transmitting data to Exigner at the same time, to the same dashboard actually. So, and in order to make it comfortable for the users and simple for the users, we decided to assign different roles for different trackers. So, for example, for one specific vehicle, for example, let me show it on the screen. This is actually the Russian license plate number, and this is another modification which is made. Instead of having the email of the device, we can now call one object with name which is comfortable and suitable for the user. So here, for example, we have the license plate number, and for the set license plate number, we can assign few devices. One which is installed, for example, on the truck, and we need to have one data from the tracker, and the other data from the second tracker, which is, for example, is installed inside the semi-trailer or in the refrigerator compartment. So we should have the same data as well. So from different tracker, but on the same dashboard. So yeah, for this we have created the definition of role. Each device might be assigned with one role or several roles for different types of objects. So in this part we can actually extend and make the work more comfortable. So we can quickly set up large fleets based on the preset roles. So yeah, and it is included in the data sources. So I will then show it on the Exigner interface. So when we create dashboard, if you remember that, we should pick the data source, and instead of picking the desired email, we can pick the group of terminals which will be sending data to the set widgets. All right, the next thing we have made, yeah, this is actually about the same. We can use data from different devices on the same dashboard. Now you see it on the screen that for the first device, we show, for example, the fuel level, and it's for the semi-trailer, the refrigerator, for example. And for the truck, we have important, for some cases, parameter which is external power. So yeah, this is just type of examples. Yeah, you're free to create your own widgets, your own dashboards, and to assign roles as your customer and you would like to have. The next thing we have made is assigning unique access rights for different users. And actually, it's about assigning not all the rights not only for dashboards, but also for the data sources, for the same roles I have mentioned, for the group of terminal devices. So before we had only the opportunity to share either view mode and edit mode. Now we have the opportunity to assign also the data source, which is actually the group of terminals with yeah, this is another application. This is another improvement that increases simplicity of using Exigner and the quickness of creating the system based on the tool. So and we have counted that we have made the driver application itself 3 times easier to use. And actually, this is the estimation we have made based on the number of clicks we have previously made on the previous version of Exigner Driver App, and the current modification, which the current version, compared with the current version actually. So, and it became 3 times easier. So the only thing the driver should do now in order to pick, show the data on the screen, is to choose the car he's supposed to drive, and all the data would be transmitted automatically. All right. And as usual, the one advantage which I prefer most of all is that we can now monitor device data remotely. So in case we have the device connected locally, I mean over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, even if the driver leaves the cabin of the vehicle and goes for a rest, for example, to stay a night on the hotel, and have a lunch on the cafe, he will still have the view on what happens with the vehicle if there is the GSM connection, obviously, over the application and the server, and actually the device and the server. So it automatically switches from Bluetooth, for example, to GSM once the Bluetooth connectivity is lost. So yeah, this is again another improvement that increases efficiency of usage of Exigner. All right, and how to upgrade the application? All you should do actually is to update the firmware of the devices. For Galileosky 7X, the firmware version should be 22.9. For 7.0 base block and OBD2, the trackers should have the firmware version not lower than 21.18. So, and obviously you should download the new version of the Exigner Driver application from Google Play. It's available there right now. So just if you want to check the features, go ahead. I will now show the live demonstration on the screen. Just let me take a few seconds, and I will show it to you. All right, please share if you see Exigner right now. Do you see? All right, good. Yeah, this is the regular screen of Exigner. I have not made one thing, which I should make probably. Let me switch my language here. Okay, here we go. Because first thing we should do in order to check new functionality on the server side, on the interface for setting, we should change the version of Exigner. Well, we should pick the version number 4, and now we have few enhancements which I actually were not described on the application. Previous modification didn't have it. The previous version of the Exigner didn't have it. So now we have licenses application feature. So as far as you remember, the Exigner Driver App is sold for local versions for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So the licenses are sold, but actually the usual procedure is when the customer requests a few packets of licenses from us, we pass them to the customer, and the customer having the licenses, license keys, they could actually add them manually here based on the period of their usage, or add it in the package in CSV file. So the licenses would be automatically assigned due to their period of use, and when you create the dashboards for your customers, you will have the opportunity to sell these licenses and actually to assign them to one or another email which is being transmitted data to Exigner. So yes, this is the first enhancement, and not the last, obviously. Now there are, and we will see it here. So since we don't have licenses right now, which could be activated, we see this notice. Once we assign the license, it would be available. So we will just make it here. We'll just put it here, and there we go. The device will be operating during all this time, during the time of period of usage, actually. This is the first thing. The next thing that should be mentioned is this actual field. This is data sources. And as mentioned, they are created additionally. So here we have, for example, the source for one specific vehicle, which is having license plate number K764, for example. We call it so just for the usage of for the convenience of the customer. Here we have different roles assigned. Truck with the demo unit assigned, and for example, we can switch to semi-trailer to another tractor, which is installed inside the semi-trailer actually. So here we go. That's it. That's all we should do at this stage. But when we come here in editing the dashboards, we can have a few data sources we can pick out of them. So we can have different data coming to our platform, to our dashboard, and then just see it here. What else? Yeah, it's about editing. Let me continue probably. Yeah, here we already made few widgets, but let me just show you a few more enhancements. Yeah, if you see that, we can, sorry, not this one. Okay, let's add it here. For example, let's add text, and we can pick from which device we want to have the data. Either it would be the data from truck or from semi-trailer. Let's imagine we want to have the data from the truck. And there is another enhancement. We have grouped the data which is being transmitted by the tracker. So here, for example, we can check fuel level percentage, and yeah, here we go. So we have the widget text, which is actually fuel level percent truck. Right? I want to put a percent here. So yeah, here that's it. That's all. Everything we should do. Now we have this exact parameter transmitted from the from canvas of the truck. While, for example, here we have speed graph from semi-trailer, for example, just for example. Obviously, we can set it very flexible. All right, this is the one enhancement which I already mentioned. Let's move on. We also wanted to show you, yeah, just 1 second, please. Yeah, we wanted to show you about the enhancement in the application. So I will now switch to my tablet PC, sharing. Just a second. So I guess you see my screen right now. So here, how we see the application right now on the actually smartphone or tablet PC. This is tablet PC, obviously, because yeah, this is just for the demonstration. The same here we having the opportunity to see the different data sources with different roles. But once we go to offline mode, we have quite different interface. It's made vice versa. So this is again in order to make it more simple for the driver. For example, here we have the case when the driver comes to the vehicle, and all he should do actually is to pick the license plate number he wants to have data from. So, for example, he's picking first parameter. Yeah, there we go. We have the dashboard built for this specific vehicle with different roles assigned from the set devices. So those devices which are actually installed inside the vehicle, they are sending data to this widget, and we pick different device, different. Different the data source, we have automatically opening the dashboard with the preset name. We are picking another one. We have another. So yeah, it is made in order to simplify the tasks for the driver in opening the application itself. So in order to get them aware about the set data from the vehicle they are driving actually right now, not from the crowd of the vehicle on the parking lot. So only from that vehicle which is being inside of their truck. So yeah, this is it actually about this presentation and the practice. So in case you are having any problem, any question regarding today's presentation or Exigner overall, I'm there to assist, there to help. So yeah, please, let's go one by one. So I have a few questions in the chat. In the chat, first one from Mr. Neil Landner. If we have the opportunity to use the app to authenticate the driver, thus via the app on the authorized driver's cell phone, the driver can be identified and thus start the car. I see the question, and it's a good question, and this is probably the next enhancement and the topic of the next webinar about Exigner. Because what we are having on the closest pipeline is making the driver, is making the Exigner able to perform some actions based on the actions of the driver. So in other words, we want to make the interface changeable by the driver in certain limits, obviously. We don't want them to send the command to the tracker, which is actually already possible. So you have the widget, which is command, and the driver is able to send any command there. And probably this can make the job already. So I can show it probably on the screen. Once again, let me share it for the web version. Yeah, here we go. So do you see my Exigner screen right now? Yeah, good. So, for example, we are having this. Do you see my mouse? I don't know. We're having this widget, which is called command. Just drag and drop here, and we can send any command to the device. For example, let's go with the status. It will be sent to the assigned device, and actually we will have some response on this one. So, in other words, in EasyLogic, we can create the customized command. For example, for one specific vehicle, it should be the command 123. And once the driver is, if the driver is aware of this command, he can just dial it in here in this specific widget on the screen. But we should have we should give the driver the access for editing the dashboards, because this is obviously about editing actually, and eventually do the job. But we are thinking of making it more comfortable and more convenient for the users. We don't want the driver to often have the access for editing. So we want to have some special widgets which will have the comments inside actually. So for example, if my status is occupied, or if I am free for assigning the new job, if I am loading or unloading, so I should press the button on the screen and the information would be sent to the server. The same here, so we have the command which would be assigned, for example, in EasyLogic, and once the device receives this command, it will activate the output, which will allow the driver to actually switch on the engine. So this is what we are doing on the closest pipeline, and hopefully the next webinar will be dedicated to this thing, to this topic. So eventually, yeah, the driver app will eliminate the need for extra PIN code pads or fingerprint identification, or even RFID. So just if the customer is comfortable with using PIN codes on the application, perfect. So we can do that. Just a reminder to Mr. Josh Danila, every webinar which is held by our company is being sent to those participants who register to it, and you will definitely receive the record of the webinar on your email from which you have registered. But once again, we can duplicate it if it will be convenient for you. It will be more convenient for you. So the next question, the same question from Mr. Neil Langner, shows the mobile app view as it will appear on the driver's cell phone. Let me check if my I will. Yeah. Let me share my screen of the tablet PC once again, or to show you the mobile view, mobile app view. So do you see it? So here actually how it looks like for the user, and so here you go. Here is how it looks like. So I don't have the real data coming, so this is why we don't see anything. But anyway, this is how we can see it. So we have the tab which hides the top of the application, just in order to increase the space for the useful information. So we could have more widget on the same screen. But then again, we have scrolling features. So those parameters which are not very important, they could be scrolled easily. But at the same time, in case any certain parameter exceeds the threshold, it will be highlighted, and we will see that there is a parameter that is exceeded. Yeah, so this is how it will look like. Answering the question, how far is the feature of driver identification, how long it will take? It's hard to tell actually right now. I'm not having that information in details, but my expectation would be that it might take another 2 or 3 months for us to launch it. So the product is very new. We are actively receiving the feedback from our partners on how they would like to use Exigner, on what could be the use cases for them, and what value the customer gets by using the application, and what they create eventually based on the current version of Exigner Driver App. But we actually seen that the demand on this task, I mean, not exactly the driver identification, but overall making the application reactive from some actions of the driver is very essential and very crucial for improving the product. So we are definitely thinking of making it as soon as possible, and this is actually the first thing we are thinking of right now, at least. So we expect that 2 or 3 months might take. This development might take 2 or 3 months. So yeah, something about that. So if there are any other questions, please go ahead. So I guess my presentation was either very clear or not clear at all. So if it's not, please go ahead and download the new application. Try to check the functionality. Try to check to think of how you might benefit from it. Another comment from Mr. Neil. Have a customer with 300 vehicles and 800 employees. Each employee will be allowed to drive 1 or 2 of the vehicles. We want to use this app to present which driver can drive which car. All right, yeah, I think it's pretty doable. So yeah, I think it's pretty doable. Yeah, the thing with this kind of sign-in with the PIN code or some certain action which driver should perform, and this driver only will have this option. It's quite doable. So it's quite flexible because, as you might see, the Easy Logic gives extra functionality for the entire system. We can create your own command to allow the driver to drive the vehicle. This command is actually PIN code. So all you should do is dial this PIN code, and that's it. What do we do to get to have the application with the real data? Let me check if I have some. Well, we have the demo. Something happened with AnyDesk, sorry. All right, I think I will not have the opportunity, but we can actually contact afterwards in order to show you the real data. Yeah, something went wrong with AnyDesk. I don't think that I will take your time while we are fixing it. Okay, anyway. Any question occur? Seems not. Then let me thank you for joining us today once again. It's always a pleasure to see the people who we are regulars here on our webinar, and individually I want to thank Mr. Gonzalo Galindo for sharing extraordinary use case and the success case with Galileosky trackers, which is already being spread through local press and local newsmakers making something about it, and it will soon appear on our website. And those of you who are having these cases and the good use cases based on Galileosky trackers, please feel free to share it with us. It is extra advertising and extra promotion for your companies as well, not only for our products. So those customers who visit our website, or some sources from your countries, from your regions, having the use case which they are looking for, will see the name of the company that might bring you extra customers. So those of you who have something to share, please feel free to do that, and we will definitely make a good story about it and post it wherever we can. So on our website as minimum, but probably we can extend it to some media as well. All right. Thank you once again. Take care in this very hard time. We hope that those problems and those disasters that we are experiencing right now will not harm not your business, not your families. So stay safe, stay calm at the same time. Keep developing, because this is the good time to have extra knowledge. This is the good time to have to investigate for some new things, for some new markets, probably for some new niches which are not yet been covered by simple tracking, basic tracking. And we are here by your hand in order to help you to reach those markets and reach those customers that will definitely be good after everything is finished. So stay safe, stay attentive, stay alert, stay attentive to your relatives and to those who are near you. So, and yeah, see you next time. All right, bye.